he was a moth to the flame, she was holding the matches. The hack of all hacks. I mean, I'm not a professional vlogger and I'm embarrassed to film in public. And I'm like, Grace, baby girl, truly realizes the Skyline. And I thought, what a lame name. I guess I've been like really just in putting out fires mode. I know I'm not gonna think they're very good. I promise we're not all like this. This is awkward. Hello friends, I am back. It's been a long time no see. I don't really have a good excuse for why I haven't been around. I guess there's been a lot of reasons. Some things happening around here and some things that are not happening. But I guess the one that you would be most interested in is what was not happening, and what was not happening was me reading interesting books. I was just in like a really bad reading drought. I think in April, I read a series of duds. And I didn't like any of the books that I read. Maybe, I liked one of them. But I just read so many books that were so terrible and so boring, and it just really put me off reading. So April was just a really bad reading month. And then came May, and I just kind of fell off of reading, to be honest, in May. Like, I just wasn't reading. I was just disgruntled with life, I guess. And ever since then, it's just been really slow picking up with the reading again. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where I've been with the reading. Not to mention, I also had like a bad bout of acne, which really brought me down. It's finally better, but it came in several waves since like March, and it got better and it got worse. And I tried doing new things and that made it worse. And then I tried other things and that made it better. And so it's taken me until pretty much last week to figure out what was really helping. And I think I finally have a good skincare routine that is working for me for now. So probably not in this video. I think I'm going to make a separate video talking about my skincare routine because it's a whole thing. I'm filming this intro after I filmed like several weeks worth of random footage to try to pull a vlog together. So yeah, this vlog is going to be a little bit all over the place. Random outings that I've had, exciting things that have happened in my community, and one book that I read that was actually very highly anticipated. You may have heard me talking about it before, and that is Cherish by Tracy Wolff. That's a book that I think one of the last books that I had read and actually did a video about was Charmed by Tracy Wolff. It was the 5th in the series. Cherish is the 6th in the series. I believe the last in this series, although there is a spin-off that I know of. I really didn't like Charmed very much. I didn't think it was very good, and Cherish was not a ton better. I guess I don't want to spoil it too much, but so yeah, this vlog is of me kind of going through and reading that book, doing other random things around in life. But yeah, I mean, besides watching me rant and ramble about reading Cherish and not really liking it, we are going to go out and about in Honolulu, and that is something I've never done before in this vlog. So yeah, I hope you enjoy and look forward to my thoughts on Cherish, because I feel like that's going to be the highlight. Or maybe the Skyline is. That's definitely been the highlight of my last few weeks. So yeah, if you enjoy these types of videos, please subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a like so the YouTube algorithm knows that you like watching life, books and life. So without further ado, let's get going. Hi, please don't mind my mess back there. I'm a little bit of a mess right now. No pun intended. But I just wanted to show you something that I don't think anybody is going to be surprised. Like, nobody's going to be as excited about this as I am, but here we go. So I finally tried Crumbl cookies for the first time in my life. Crumbl opened about a year ago, kind of near me, but not near me. Probably, it's like a 40-minute drive. And for some reason, like, I love cookies. Really love cookies, really love sweets. But for some reason, I always thought I was going to be disappointed by these. I don't know why. I just thought they were going to be a disappointment. And so I never wanted to drive that far just to try the cookies and be like, oh, they're not that good. They weren't worth the drive. Well, Anyway, I mean, yesterday we decided we were gonna go out to that area, Kapolei, just to shop because there's a lot of stores there and we needed some clothes. And so I decided, hey, let's stop and try the Crumbl cookies because I know I'm not gonna think they're very good, but I just have to say I tried them. Well, I got them and they are amazing. Like I'm just so surprised. I mean, this must be so funny to anybody who has had Crumbl multiple times and lives near them and just knows the magic that these cookies are. But yeah, I guess I thought I was going to be disappointed. I was not. I am so happily surprised. Clearly, I have eaten most of this myself and I have made a mess of them. So the flavors that I think there were like 8 flavors that day when I went yesterday. So the flavors I got were fried ice cream. This is some sort of peach flavor. I'm not sure. It doesn't really taste like peach, but it's still very good. It came with a peach ring on top, which aren't really my favorite, but I don't know. I mean, it was still very good. This is like a double chocolate with Oreos on top, and this is a classic chocolate chip. They're all amazing. When I was in New York a couple of years ago, I went to this place called Levain Bakery, and everybody said that those were the best chocolate chip cookies ever. And I ate them, and they were good, but they didn't live up to the hype. And I don't know if because of that, now everybody said that these Crumbl cookies were just the most amazing cookies ever. And so I was like, whatever you say is the most amazing cookies, probably not. I just have too high expectations. I don't know. But genuinely, I think these Crumbl cookies, even though they are a franchise and they're everywhere now, and usually quality goes down when businesses become too big, but these cookies, they are honestly better than Levain, in my opinion. They just have so many different flavors, and I think they say they like rotate the flavors every day. I probably shouldn't be there. There's no way I can be there every day, but I feel like I have to go back to Kapolei and try more flavors of cookies because I mean, I'm just baffled by how much I like these cookies. So don't mind me. I'm just gonna continue nibbling on my cookies like a Cookie Monster gremlin. Okay, bye. So I'm at it again. I haven't done very many videos since I posted the one on Charm by Tracy Wolff, the 5th book in the Crave series, but it's months later now, and here I am reading Cherish, which is supposedly the last book in the Crave series. I was not a big fan of Charm. I waited a long time for it. After I finished the first 4 books that had all come out before I discovered the series, I read all 4 of those, and I was very excited to read Charm, and it greatly disappointed me. I didn't think it was very interesting. I just didn't get what I wanted out of it. But of course, am I gonna finish the series, so I'm now reading Cherish. I'm only in the beginning. Well, actually, you know, I'm kind of about a 10th of the way through, not really very far. So far, I don't really have much of an opinion. That's a strange thing to say while I'm here giving an update as if I had an opinion. But yeah, I mean, it's taken me a little while to really get back into it because Charm took place in a completely different time. It was out of the timeline. But with Cherish, we're back in the original timeline. So where the 4th book, which was Court, left off, Hudson and Grace had gone to college in San Diego, I think, and they were just doing their thing over there. And then, but at the end of that book, they had kind of foreshadowed that one of their friends was sick, and they were going to have to go to the Shadow Realm in order to figure out how to cure him of this sickness. So now, Cherish has picked up kind of just where it left off. There's been some discussion of it. To be honest, I'm kind of confused about really what's going on, but we're getting there, and they are at, but I mean, to be honest, I don't really understand what the main conflict is so far, besides the needing to save their friend. But to be honest, like, he was kind of not a main character in Court, so not that I don't care, but I guess I kind of just don't care. I didn't really get much, I don't have much of an emotional connection or investment in him, so I don't know. I feel like there has to be another conflict besides that. So right now we have gone to the, the court, what do we call it? The gargoyle court, and they're having like a tennis match, not tennis, like a football match or something. And to be honest, I'm not really sure what's going on. So these books, they're known to be very long and very like meandering and wordy. So I'm just gonna kind of go with it, I guess. I should know this at this point, so I'm not gonna complain about it anymore. So I guess I'm just gonna keep reading, and hopefully I figure out what the main conflict is supposed to be soon. And I will update you when I have more thoughts.
Most in my life, they say you're out of my league, but I don't give a damn. No, deep down, I know you want it. You wanna take a leap and jump in.
Grace is like, what is Vega Academy? And Hudson's like, it's a school. And she's like, a school? Like Katmere Academy? And I'm like, Grace, baby girl, an academy is a school. He didn't call it Vega Asylum or Vega Hostel, Vega Academy, a school. I have not encountered anybody who is less fit to lead. Hello. Yes. So I have finished reading Cherish, and oh man. Anyway, I'm still gathering my thoughts on that, but I will update later. I think my first update on that was in the beginning of the book, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to update throughout reading, and I didn't. It's not that I didn't have anything to say. I just had a lot of like ranty, not nice, kind of just verging on rude things to say. So I guess I figured I probably just, if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I will get my thoughts together and do a full review that is a little less ranty and a little bit more cohesive criticism. So yeah, that is my plan kind of for today. I do need to do some other boring small business stuff so I'm going to do some of that, usual chores, cleaning, and while I do all of those things, I'll be trying to gather my thoughts so that I can come back later and do a cohesive and intelligently thought out review on Cherish and kind of the entire Crave series in general, and how it started out strong. I really did. I was enjoying it in the first 3 books at least, and then probably halfway through the 4th, but it just went downhill so fast, and I'm so disappointed with just how it turned out. And I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to do the boring stuff first and try to get my thoughts together, and I will be back later to review Cherish. I have been just pretty unproductive in general lately. My brain has been everywhere, and I guess I've been like really just in putting out fires mode, not getting anything significant done. Like, those times where just like you're doing all these little things that seem like they're not adding up to anything. So yeah, that has been me the last, I don't know how long, just doing all these random things that seem kind of important in the moment, but don't seem to be adding up to anything big. So I'm trying to get out of putting out fires mode and start getting bigger things done. So, but I guess that is going to start with doing all the boring small business stuff. So that is the plan for today. I better get to it. It is like 1 o'clock in the afternoon already, and I'm still drinking like my 3rd cup of tea. So I'm going to get to it, and I will talk to you later.
It's hard to stay real
that was exciting. The opening of the rail was a really big deal in my city. We've been waiting for it for 50 years, and it's finally open, and we finally got to go and ride it. I'm terrible at vlogging. Most people would have said something while they're out, but I mean, I'm not a professional vlogger, and I'm embarrassed to film in public. So that is the extent of the clips that I got. But yeah, I had a great time. Like, I really like it. The whole rail has been really controversial here for the last, I don't know how many years it's been really prominent, probably the last 10 years, maybe more, 15 years, because it was so over budget, basically. And I don't know if it was a really loud minority that was just so against it, or if that was the general sentiment. I have no idea. But, oh, and by the way, they named it the Skyline. Like, in the last couple of days before it opened, they're like, we are naming it the Skyline. And I thought, what a lame name. I guess it works. It is like a raised monorail, but still, Skyline, I felt like they kind of came up with that just on the fly in order to name it something so that we would stop calling it the over budget rail until the end of time. So, but yeah, it was controversial, and people are still gonna always hate it, but I really like it. I think there was a time that even I was like, why do we need this? But I feel like if you don't understand the progress that this is for our civilization, then it's just amazing progress. And yeah, it was over budget, and it was a long time coming, and it was a really difficult road to get it open. But I feel like the hardest part is done now. Like, the initial planning and getting it approved and getting the funding and getting it going so that people can actually see a tangible result, they can ride it, is the hardest part. Now they just need to work on expanding the line and making it longer. So as it is right now, it is not perfect. The stations don't have bathrooms, which was a kind of a big thing, but besides that, they are very nice. One of the stations we stopped, so we rode the whole line, and we stopped at pretty much every station. One of the stations, which is actually right across from the apartment where I lived for a few years ago, and actually the landlord, when we were looking at the apartment the first time, he's like, the rail's gonna be there, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna be long gone before the rail station is ever open. But we got off at that station, and I'm not sure why they decided to put it right there, but the issue is that there's no pedestrian overpass that goes over to like a shopping center that's nearby. So you walk down this ramp, and you kind of end up in the middle of nowhere, and they just put this little haphazard crosswalk. So in order to cross the street, in order to get where you want to go, why you got off at the station, you kind of have to walk across a freeway ramp, and that's where they put the crosswalk. So that's a little strange. It was a little scary. But all of the other stations, like, it's really nice that you can come out of the station and there's like an overpass you can go down on either side of the street. So this particular station was a little bit of a special case. I don't know what happened there. But besides that, the train is nice. I don't know what all the complaints are about the train itself. Yeah, the route for us is not the most useful. As it is, this runs from like the west side to the wester side. We live on the east side, so it's more would be like for fun day trips if we ever go and choose to ride it. But as I said, now that the hardest part is done, now they just have to open the next segment, which while we were riding the bus home, after riding it, because we rode the bus to go to it because there were like free bus rides. So we're riding the bus home, and I was really interested, of course. So I was like looking at the progress for the remainder of the line, and there's a lot of progress that I hadn't noticed. Like, the raised guideway is completed almost all the way to where they are saying they're ending it now. The stations are all visibly stations. They're not completed, but they're kind of, they're visibly there. And so once they get that segment open, it actually will be excellent for us because, we save money where we can. So whenever we go to the airport, we ride the bus. Like an Uber from where we live to the airport is $30 to $40. A taxi is like $80. So like, why would we pay that when we can ride the bus for $3? It's really not that hard. The hardest part is the little bit of off-roading that we have to do in order to get to the bus stop, which is still just a 3-minute walk away from my house. So we ride the bus, and the bus takes us to downtown where we have to, get off and wait for another bus to take us to the airport. Sometimes we just miss that bus and we have to wait like 30 minutes. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes there's homeless people at the bus stop. So that is not ideal. But once the rail opens and we can just get on the rail at downtown instead of waiting for another bus, that rail is going to go straight into the airport. That station is almost completed. It will be excellent. I cannot wait. They're saying 2031 at this point. It's only 2023. But hopefully they hurry that up. And yeah, so I'm super excited about that. So yeah, right now the route is not super useful to us, but it was a fun day trip, and we probably will ride it again just for fun day trips, because sometimes driving the car is monotonous, parking is terrible. Real estate is measured in like the square inch where I live, so parking spaces are very, very small. So sometimes it's just fun to ride the bus. So that is my experience with the new Skyline. I love it. Hi, just popping in for a little soapbox PSA. If you have public transit where you live, please use it. Please support your public transit system. I feel like a good public transit system is democratic. It just makes life fair for everybody. It gives everybody the opportunity to move around and get where they need to go and be productive. And the more people who use the public transit, the better it will be, because it will have more money in the system. I just feel like the health of a community can be judged based on their public transit. And I know car culture is a big thing in America, and I hate it. Car culture. And I feel like we really need to just get over the stigma that public transit is somehow for lesser people, because it's not. Like cities like New York have really gotten it down where everybody rides the subway. Like the subway is not for low-income people, it's for everybody. And even in London, the tube, everybody rides the tube. Yet somehow in a lot of cities, especially Honolulu, like we don't have a subway system, we just got the rail. But we've always had the bus system, and the bus system is actually really good. We use it, not a ton, but whenever we don't want to drive the car or we want to go to the airport, we ride the bus and it works well. It gets us where we need to go pretty much whenever. Like there are very few times that the bus has let us down. And yeah, I just feel like we need to get over this stigma that public transit is somehow lesser than driving a huge fancy car that uses a ton of gas, or even the self-righteousness of buying an electric car and thinking you're somehow doing something so amazing for the planet when you are still connected to the grid, and you go home and you plug in your Tesla to your house that is not on solar. That's not great for the environment either, let's be honest. So yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say is I am very pro public transit, and I will scream it from the rooftops. I hate cars and I love public transit. So I am all for the rail. I am for public transit everywhere. Let's ride. Okay, so I've listened to the new Better Than Revenge, Taylor's version, a bunch of times now. And I can say now, okay, the new lyrics are growing on me. For the uninitiated, which I'm sure is not very many of you, the original lyrics said about a certain actress, she's better known for the things that she does on the mattress. Look, I am proud to say that 99 of my personalities have matured since I first became obsessed with the song in 2011. But with what my life was like in 2011, I was all about the slut shaming, just being honest. And it's a part of my journey. So even though 99% of me is a feminist now, I save that last one unbecoming percent just for this song. And to be honest, I was a little bit bummed when I first saw the lyric change and heard it, because I felt like Taylor realized that what she said in the song was wrong, and the new person that she is today, all these years later, doesn't stand by it. And because she doesn't stand by it as a part of her journey, it kind of made me feel gross, like that I want to keep it as a part of my history. And I felt like the new lyrics just didn't have that bite and superb anger and pettiness that the originals had. And I felt like it took away from the song. It felt like it neutered the song on first listen. Like, don't get me wrong, the lyrics do sound nice. I always thought they sounded nice, but I just felt like they didn't jive with my emotional memory of the song. But the more I listen to it, and the more, maybe it's just growing on me because I really do want to love everything that she does. But I feel like the lyrics, they actually kind of do fit the essence of the song. So the new lyric, he was a moth to the flame, she was holding the matches, basically calls him an idiot and her an asshole. Like, he is an idiot man who can't control himself, and she is an asshole because she knows this and is holding the matches anyway. It's perfect. Introverts, I have discovered the hack of all hacks. I've had these Sony, I don't know what they're called, noise canceling headphones for a long time, like 2.5 years, and they changed my life. Like, my neighbors are so annoying. They're so loud. They're constantly screaming. They have 2 dogs that are not trained at all. They're constantly barking. I can't get anything done if I have to listen to just noise. Plus, I live on kind of a busy road and there's always trucks passing, mopeds passing. It's a whole deal. It's loud here. So I got these headphones and they really did change my life. Like, it really just, when you can hear yourself think, it's just incredible. So I had just these for about 2.5 years and they worked well. But kind of recently, I thought I needed an upgrade. I guess the issue with these just alone is sometimes, like, my ears get a little bit hot, so I can't wear them all day long because just my ears will start sweating. And to be honest, I try to clean them the best I can, but I don't want to sweat in there too much because they'll smell like BO a little bit and I can't exactly wash them. So I do my best to try to keep them clean. So I wanted to get something else that I could use when it's hot, when I'm sweaty, when I'm exercising, or when I just want to take these off and wear something else. And so I knew about the Airpods Pro. Of course I knew about them. But I think when they first came out, the first generation, they didn't get stellar reviews for how expensive they were. So I just resisted buying them. And I'm like, I don't need them. I'm just going to continue to repurchase just the regular AirPods. As they die, I'll get new ones. They're sufficient. I have these. So what do I need those for? Well, I saw them on sale. I don't know if it was for Prime Day. I think it was before Prime Day for $199. And I decided to try them. Like, it was kind of on a whim, but I was just like, it's time. I don't know. I saw them and the sale got me and I was just like, I'm going to try some AirPods Pro. So I got them. And I guess another reason why I never really got into it was I have always had a little bit of a hard time with these in-ear type of like headphones. They never were comfortable in my ear. They would always, I don't know. I just didn't like how they felt in my ear. They wouldn't kind of go in very well. I do have small ears. I'm a small person. And so, yeah, they just never fit very well. And so that's, I guess, another reason I didn't want to spend so much on these only for them to not fit in my ear. But I guess I was convinced this time because they did add like an extra small ear tips. So now there's 4 ear tips that it comes with. So I was like, of course I will fit the extra small. So, but actually I didn't even end up changing it. This is the regular medium size that it ships with and it fits fine. So I decided to get these and they are amazing. I guess I didn't think the noise canceling would work so well. I didn't know that was possible for an earbud. I always thought the best noise canceling would be from the giant over-ear headphones. Yeah, call me archaic. So I was like really, really surprised with how good they sound and how amazing the noise cancellation is. But then I thought, I can do one better. So I like that they're really small. They're shorter than the regular AirPods, and so I wouldn't be able to do this. But I just, just casually put these in my ears, and I'll play whatever I'm listening to. I can't even hear myself. It's so weird. Like, you can't hear yourself talk, but I'm like listening to myself talk in my head. So I have these in my ears, and I'll play whatever I want to play in these. And then I'll take my trusty never fail headphones, and I'll stick these right over. And in these headphones, I'll play some sort of like brown noise. It's like, if you don't know what brown noise is, it's similar to white noise, but it just sounds less tingy, I don't know, staticky. So it sounds nicer to me. Brown noise, it sounds like an airplane rumbling sound. And so I find that comforting. White noise just sounds like a TV that won't connect. Maybe I'm aging myself by saying that. But when like in the 90s, back when we had VCRs and like the tape was moldy or corrupted or something, and it would be like this gray static and it would make a horrible noise. I'm rambling now, but when I have this combination on, I can't hear anything. It's just absolute silence. And I am just an introvert. I don't like people that much, and that is why I am here on YouTube, not interacting with people in person. I just spew my thoughts, and that's it. No one really gets to talk back to me. So yeah, this is just amazing. Like, I cannot hear the dogs barking. I can't hear the mopeds passing, and like, these are like no ordinary mopeds that are passing. These are mopeds that these like baby men have intentionally made as loud as possible, just to be a ruckus, just to wake up every baby in the neighborhood. So I'm just so relaxed with my new setup. It's just incredible. I can hear myself think. I can hear music. I guess that's it. I can hear myself think, and it's really just incredible. So I'm gonna go and try to be productive, not being distracted by mopeds and Hondas and all of the other annoyances in life, dogs that are not trained at all. It's just so peaceful. I can listen to the ocean. Fun fact, I live right in front of the ocean. Like, it is literally right there. And people imagine that it's so peaceful living near the ocean because you can hear the ocean. I cannot hear the ocean at all. There's just so much noise that, like, I can see it, but I can't hear it. I really don't get any much benefit of living near the ocean. It's really not very peaceful. I can look at it, but it's about it. So now I can listen to calming lapping of waves in my headphones and look at the ocean, so I can get the full effect. I'm really rambling now, so this is quite unproductive, but I just wanted to tell you about my new, I'm sure I can't even be the first person to think of this. It's just, there must be other people who have thought of this. It's just incredible. Silence. Cause she's the kind of book that you can put down. Like if Cleopatra grew up in a small town. Hi, I wanted to come back and clarify that I don't constantly have 2 layers of sound blasting in my ears. I know I'm probably gonna get comments about how that's so bad for my ears. I am aware. I do not intend to damage my hearing today. But yeah, so sometimes I don't even have anything playing in the over-ear headphones. It's just, they're on, so they have the noise cancellation on, but there's nothing playing. And then because of the noise cancellation, I feel like it's actually better for your ears just because you can listen to the sound, whatever you're listening to, just a lot more quiet at a lower volume. Like with non-canceling headphones, I would like really crank up the music because I wanted to hear it, right? But I feel like I'm listening to whatever at such a lower volume. This is actually better for my ears. So, to be honest, I haven't done any actual research on this, so I don't actually know. But in theory, I think I think that makes sense. So, maybe I should do some research, but I don't think I'm damaging my hearing. At least I hope not. I shall check. But it's just been so amazing because I feel like I've heard songs that I've listened to for the first time all over again. Like one of the songs that I've been listening to recently was Paris by Taylor Swift. And it's one of those off of Midnights that I actually didn't really like that much. Like I just didn't get it. Like I didn't think it was that interesting. So I never really listened to it. But with having the like ultimate noise canceling, now it's like I've heard the song for the first time and it's a whole new song. Like, so it's just a completely different experience listening to music and listening to yourself think, like I've said. So yeah, I guess I always worry a little bit about my health and my hearing. I'm a real hypochondriac, but I guess I'm probably just going to continue doing this for the time being until I learn otherwise, that it's not good, because I'm just having such an amazing time. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, that I am aware of hazards and I'm really trying to be safe. So follow my lead at your own risk. Hi. So I guess now's as great a time as any to talk about my final thoughts on Cherish by Tracy Wolff, which is the sixth book in the Crave series. Was I excited to read this book? Yes. Maybe excited to get the series over with. I don't know. So, obviously the series started out strong. Otherwise, I wouldn't have continued reading. And I was actually enjoying it up until the fourth book, which is where things got weird. But I guess by then it was like a sunk cost thing. I just felt like I had to continue. Like by the time I was in the fourth book, I already knew there were going to be at least 2 more. And I was like, I'm not going to quit now. So, I guess the most glaring issue in this book is that Grace's character is just atrocious. She's just the worst. She is so annoying. Yeah, that's basically her character. She's annoying. She's just so unlikable. The biggest thing is that she's just been in the magical world for so much less time than any of the other characters. So as of the last book, Charm, she had been in the magical world for like 2 weeks at that point, at the beginning of Charm. And then so she got out of Charm and 4 months had passed, and then maybe another passed in the fourth book. So it's been a year about at this point. But she really, even from the fourth book, she just acts like she knows everything. And it's not a good look, really. I get the self-confidence aspect. And yeah, having self-confidence is good. But sometimes hubris, as we just learned with the whole Titan disaster, sometimes it pays to listen to other people and not just think you know everything. Because sometimes you don't. And Grace hasn't learned this yet. And spoiler alert, she does not learn it. And that is one of the most disappointing things, that I thought maybe, just maybe, her arc that was kind of unclear through a lot of this series would become clear at the end. And like maybe her arc was that she needed to humble herself a little bit and learn that she is still learning. But that wasn't it. Even when it's proven that she doesn't know it all and she fails, she'll like whine and cry and victimize herself only for everybody to like rally around her and be like, oh, it's okay, Grace. It's like peak participation trophy. We'll come back to that. And she just spends so much time talking. And by talking, I mean like her inner monologues. Basically, she spends so much time in her inner monologues explaining how good of a person she is. She's like the caricature of a Gen Zer in the worst way. Like if you ask a boomer what a Gen Zer is like, they'll basically describe Grace with an eye roll, and none of what they say will be a compliment. She's not like what the most reasonable Gen Zers are like. And I cannot for the life of me decide whether the author just fundamentally doesn't understand the character that she's trying to create. Because if she's trying to create a character that Gen Zers can relate to, Grace is really not it. Like, if they saw themselves in Grace, they would just be embarrassed for themselves. Or if the author is intentionally mucking up a Gen Z character in order to make fun of them, I don't know why she would do that if this book is aimed towards like 14 to 18-year-olds. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. But nothing in this series makes a lot of sense. Like, the way Grace is written, her goodness, which is like all that she has really, because she doesn't have intelligence, it all just feels so performative. But again, is it Grace who's being performative because she's just so insecure and she's putting on this big show of I know what to do and I know everything, I'm meant for this world? Or is it the author who doesn't understand the character that she's trying to write? I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess I know which is worse. It would be the author not understanding the character. That would be worse. But regardless, the reason we read books is to be entertained, and I mean, this is just entertaining in the worst way. I could go on and on about how lame and awful Grace is. This video would be hours long, but I mean, really, like, Draco Malfoy is a more likable character. Not the later Draco, but like the beginning Draco, when he was just being a little turd. Like, he was a better, more likable character than Grace, just because he had depth. Like, you knew, especially when his dad came into play, that he wasn't just being a turd for the sake of being a turd. Like, he had things going on in his life that caused him to be the way he is. Grace doesn't have any of that. She really has very little backstory, and there's very little diving into her personality besides what she says herself about how good of a person she is, how like perfect stereotypical Gen Z values she has. But there isn't much about her personality that really gives her depth where you understand past experiences, past traumas, anything that would explain why she is the way she is. And we just don't have any of that from her. So that makes her feel like a very thin character. And because of that, like, you don't give her any grace, pun intended, maybe, for her annoyingness, because there's just nothing there. So the next thing, besides how annoying Grace was, this issue became really apparent in the fourth book. A lot of things became apparent in the fourth book. I'm probably just going to keep saying that until my face turns blue. But it's just the wordiness. It's just so wordy. The plot is just so meandering. Like, the, not timeline, but like how you expect a narrative to go. Rising tension, climax, resolution, all of that is just thrown out the window. Like, it doesn't exist. Like, it's just like meandering along until something happens ish, and then the book's done. A lot of the events that happen don't feel like they build on one another, and I feel like that's how rising tension works. You have one event thing that happens, and then they learn something, and then they go on to the next event, and like things keep building until finally they get to the climax and they figure out everything that's going on, and then you get a resolution, right? Isn't that how narratives work? But there was just none of that, really. It just felt like it was just all flat going, and they're going here and then they're going there and going there, and you never really understand why they're going in any particular direction. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The narrative doesn't make a lot of sense. And to me, by the end, it felt like the author's biggest goal, was just to get the characters to a certain place at all costs. Like, it didn't even matter how they got there. All that mattered was that the characters ended up in their certain place, and whatever else happened in the meantime was kind of irrelevant. Like, it felt like in the author's brain, it's just like, they just got to do some things to end up at this spot. And it didn't work I mean, I feel like I can't explain why it didn't work, yet I feel like it's pretty obvious why that doesn't work, because it just doesn't make a cohesive story. It's like watching ants build an anthill. Like, you know what they're going to end up with. They're going to end up with an anthill. But in the meantime, what they're doing, like moment to moment, doesn't really matter. And I felt like that's what we were watching in this book. It just felt like the entire book was killing time until the author could finally tell us what she thought the ending was. And I guess if I had to quantify it, I would say that it felt like at least 50% of every scene could have been cut, and it would have been more pleasant to read. It would have moved a lot faster. All of this irrelevant, insignificant pointlessness could have been passed. And a lot of that was Grace's inner monologues about how wonderful of a person she is. Like, we get it. Grace thinks she's an incredible person. Grace doesn't think she does anything wrong. We don't need to know every moment of Grace being like, this is how the world should be, and you guys are doing it wrong, and we need to be better people. Like, yeah, Grace, we know. Exacerbating the wordiness is the repetitiveness, which you would think would go together, which they do. But it's like so many of the same phrases were repeated so many times. It was just aggravating. Like, it was just like gnawing at my brain, like how many times I saw the same phrases. Pointless phrases. Phrases like right here, right now, maybe, just maybe, realizes, truly realizes, that ends here, that ends now. Like, don't they just feel like word filler, like word vomit, word filler phrases? Like, it feels like the author had a word count she was trying to reach, and she needed to add these kinds of phrases in order to add extra words. It's kind of like, this is the kind of crap that I pulled when I was in 6th grade and I needed to write a 5-page essay, and I only had 4.5 pages, and like, you start putting extra spaces and making periods bigger, and like, this is the kind of crap that 3rd graders pull. But I felt like she was just adding in these words. Maybe her idea was for emphasis, but really things lose their emphasis when they're overused. And it's like, they appeared so often you could make a drinking game out of them. I would have died of alcohol poisoning if I was playing that drinking game. Don't even get me started on how many times the word mate appears in this series. I don't know why that word irks me so much. Besides the fact that it was just way overused, the author just needs a thesaurus desperately. Maybe because we also associate the word mate with animals who do it purely for reproductive purposes. And I guess we expect humans to put more effort into the process than animals do. Like, mate takes the element of choice out of the equation. Like, animals mate with whoever is nearby and ready. They don't, for the most part, spend time getting to know each other to pick the other animal that they want to parent with. They just do it for the sake of the species. And so to harp so much on the mating feels like it diminishes the character's choice to be in this relationship, Grace's relationship. Other relationships are also the same, although none are quite as annoying as Grace and Hudson. And so it just feels really forced and gross. Especially the way Grace constantly harps on Hudson being her mate. Like, seriously, she calls him that more than she calls him by his name. Like, the fact that he is her mate is more important to her than him as a person. And it makes her seem even more annoying and immature because she thinks she's even more of a grown-up now that she's mated, which is basically the book's equivalent of marriage. And remember, she is 18 and Hudson is only her 2nd boyfriend ever. And her first boyfriend was Hudson's little brother. So that's where we are in like the maturity life stage here. It's weird. It's very weird. Overall, the conflict was just difficult to get invested in because it was difficult to find in the first place. I got about a quarter of the way through the book before I think I figured out what the conflict actually was. Besides what I had gone into the book understanding, like from the cliffhanger from the previous book, but that I think I mentioned earlier in like the clips that wasn't really that important to me. I didn't care that much, so that wasn't really a conflict that I was going to get really invested in anyway. And then it was about halfway through the book before I finally realized and understood what the group's objective was. Like, what are they even trying to do to solve this conflict? Because they weren't moving at this point. They were kind of in a place, I don't want to spoil too much, but they're in a place doing some things that don't seem to have any relation to the bigger problem at hand. And then it took me until the second to the last 4-page chapter to realize that they failed at their objective. But Grace is the nice gargoyle queen, and the world forgives her foolishness and will hand her what she wants anyway. And then it ends. You know how boomers say millennials are all soft because of the participation trophies? Grace just got a participation trophy. She's just a joke. I promise we're not all like this. Pacing. Let's talk pacing. It was unintelligible. It was almost impossible to distinguish any sort of intentional pace because we didn't know where things were going. I feel like pace is established when you know what the characters are trying to do, and so you recognize the action scenes, like the ones that move the plot forward, and you recognize also what I call the recovery scenes, where like regrouping and reflection and all that happens, which also feel productive. But in this case, it was just so hard to distinguish. Like, I guess there were some things that moved the plot forward, but you didn't know that's what was happening because it just was so wordy and meandering. And like, it was in retrospect, you would realize, oh, that was important. I should have paid attention more. And by then it's too late and there's no way I'm going back to reread it. So I probably missed a lot, to be quite honest. Just one more complaint while we're on the complaining train. Is there anything less cool and mysterious and enticing than a gargoyle? I feel like the author's main objective in writing this series was to copy Twilight just enough to get attention. I mean, like, let's just take a look at the cover of Crave and the cover of Twilight. Like, do you see the resemblance? Like, it's obvious that she was trying to capitalize off of Twilight's popularity. But then she had to differentiate it somehow. And if she only used vampires and werewolves and witches, then it would really be a joke because this would just seem like a mashup between Twilight and the Vampire Diaries. I feel like there's a reason why there are so few stories about gargoyles, because they are the unsexiest magical being on the planet. Nobody really wants to hear about them. Gargoyle lameness aside, I felt like there really could have been hope for the series, hence the fact that I continued reading. But certain decisions just really failed what could have been a good concept. I'll be like, obviously there were things I liked about it, or I would have DNF'd it like I DNF'd other books. Like, it was comforting and nostalgic in a way, probably because it reminded me of Twilight and Harry Potter. The school setting is something that we recognize from a lot of books, including Twilight and Harry Potter and the Vampire Diaries, which started out as a book, but I didn't read the books. It was a TV series for me. But I mean, the school setting is something that a lot of people enjoy, and maybe it's just because I had such a bad time in school that I enjoy seeing other characters maybe have not such a bad time in school. I don't know, but me and a lot of other people find the school setting fun and comforting. But then in the later books, the group was kind of all over the place. They had left school. This, I feel like, was really reminiscent of what happened in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. When Harry and Ron and Hermione basically left Hogwarts, they were on a bigger mission to save the world. And it was just a really epic journey for them. I think book 4 was meant to be the last book, but it did well enough, so they're like, might as well keep the money train going. The 4th book was when Grace and friends left school. Well, actually, the school got burned down, but they left the school in order to go off on this big traveling adventure in order to save the world. And I felt like that was modeled off of Harry Potter, so that wasn't a really original idea. But anyway, I do enjoy that traveling aspect. And as bad as it was for this particular narrative, the wanderluster in me enjoys just that, like, on the move adventure kind of thing, because it just feels whimsical and exciting and romantic in ways that we don't really get that much in real life unless you're a perpetual traveler, which I am not. Like, I don't think I could be a full-time traveler. I have to go home. But, you know, you still enjoy that, like, excitement of being on the move. So since I'm not doing that constantly, I like to get that through books. And so I did enjoy that aspect of it. I guess that's all I really have to say about these books. I mean, I could probably complain about little details forever. I have so many notes about little things that annoyed me about them, but you don't really need to hear all of the details. It would completely spoil what little happened in the book. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'm always looking for these kinds of comfort reads because sometimes being an adult is scary, and you like these comfort reads that bring back those feelings of safety and nostalgia that you had when you're younger. I think I continued to read this book because I really was looking for that. And not to say that I didn't get it at all, because I did. It's just looking at it from a purely how good is the narrative and how good is the story, how likable are the characters, how enjoyable overall was it to read. It wasn't good. But I guess I can't completely write it off because I guess I did get something out of it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Cherish by Tracy Wolff. Last book in the Crave series, however, there is a spin-off coming at some point called Sweet Vengeance. That is a spin-off based on a character that we met in the third book, I believe. He was a pretty interesting character. Hopefully the author doesn't botch him and make him super annoying too. So I guess we'll see. Yeah. Till then, I need a break. You know, I think part of the reason I've been having such a hard time filming and putting up new videos is I just have this deep sense of perfectionism that I think a lot of us have, but I don't know, I guess I just look at other people's videos and think I have to have that kind of elaborate editing and perfect lighting everywhere and perfect backgrounds everywhere in order for it to be worth putting up. Yet there are a lot of people who just do really comforting, homey vlog videos that aren't like edited to the T and aren't absolutely perfect, but sometimes those are my favorite to watch just because they don't feel like the person is trying too hard to make like this. They don't feel like the person is trying too hard to make it seem like their life is perfect, their house is perfect. So they're more relatable. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get out of that mindset though, where I feel like every shot that I put out has to, like the background has to be perfect and the lighting has to be perfect. And it really sometimes stops me from just pulling out the camera and saying something and feeling like it's good enough to put in the vlog. And even sometimes just the way that I speak, or like I feel like everything I say has to be heavily edited because I'm really not the best speaker. So I guess I'm trying to get more comfortable so that I can like just speak like this. Like I'm doing it now, just speaking, and I don't think I'm gonna edit this clip too much. So yeah, I guess that's part of the reason. That's probably a big reason why it took me so long to get started with the channel in the first place, just because I feel awkward and I just have this perfectionism that I think a lot of people my age have. Like I always see these memes like on Instagram and wherever where I like where millennials anxiety and everything came from, and I feel like it's so true. I connect with it every time I see it. So yeah, that's it. Clearly I am reclined in my chair, just taking a break, I guess, but I do need to get back to it. It's so hot here. I'm really hoping you're not seeing this video like sometime in September, and I'm filming this clip on July 14th. So working on it. I'm back. Yes, I am filming this outro at the same time I'm filming the intro because I am efficient like that. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I guess I hope you enjoyed. I will promise to try to be more consistent and read more books because I believe that's why you're probably here, to see me read books. So that is all for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.